I took a train in Nairobi, and I was told that train goes to Mombasa, and it will pass through Voi. And if you sleep, you will wake up in Mombasa, which I had also never been to. So I'm sitting in a train going to a place I have only read on a letter. And then when I boarded the train, by coincidence, I meet a former primary schoolmate who was going to Shanzu Teachers Training College on their way. So I was like, wow, this is how God works, isn't it? You have connected me to somebody I know on the train. I was going to a place I didn't know. So every time the train stopped along the way, I was like, excuse me, tumefika. Yeah, bado mbali sana hata usijali. Wewe usiseme nisijali, nijipate Mombasa. And the money that I have is just transport to go to Voi. So to cut the story short, I went to Voi, did the interview. I sent out so many other applications for what you would call technical colleges. And then the time I received the feedback, I got 3 invitations to different colleges. And so now the problem I had before me was the choice. I had an invitation to go to Coast Institute of Technology to do a diploma in tourism management. I wanted to do hotel management at Oduori College. I received a letter for travel operations at the same college, and I also received a letter to do IT. And so my real interest and desire was to do IT because I thought IT was what made my heart excited. And I took my admission letter to Dad, and he looked at it, and he said, I think IT is not a good course. I think you should do accounts. Why? Because his dream when he was young was to do accounts, and he missed the chance, so he thinks he has a son, and he should realize that dream through the son. And I'm thinking, I know how maths treated me when I was in school and the maths teachers. And I don't want to have to choose anything mathematical in my life, except if it is going to be computer related. And so we had the pull and push. And he said, I think IT is too expensive for me. I can't afford to pay for you. So I opted to study travel operations, which was slightly different. Well, I think we have already begun our discussion now, isn't it? That a career is a long-term goal that you make decisions about, and it involves the kind of occupation and skills that you will want to develop in your life. And because it's a long-term journey, it will not be a decision that you take very lightly, because it will mean the choice of the career that you pick is where you'll spend the rest of your life, much more like getting married. So if you make a wrong choice, either because of money, and you pick a wrong career, you'll become a very unhappy person in future. Money will take you just so far up to a particular extent, and then you realize you have no joy in what you're doing. All right? And so this evening, because of the request that was made, I want us to refer to the book of 1 Chronicles chapter 12 and verse 32. They were sons of a person called Issachar. And the Bible records that they knew the times. And they knew the meaning of those times. It says, all these men understood the times, isn't it? Somebody who has it can read? Oh, it's there. And of Issachar, men who had understanding of the times to know what Israel ought to do. 200 chiefs and all their kinsmen were under their command. The next verse. 33. You can move to the next verse, 33. And of Zebulun, 50,000 experienced troops fitted out with all kinds of weapons and instruments of war that could order and set the battle in array, men not of double purpose, but of stable and trustworthy. The focus is on 32, that they knew the times and they knew what to do at any particular time, the sons of Issachar. And that's important, that we, as young people who are believers, do not just get to make career choices without knowing and understanding the times and making the right decision at the right times. Because we live in a season where some careers are relevant and others are becoming irrelevant. So it would be not too wise for you to invest so much in a career that is becoming irrelevant or obsolete. When I finished high school, whenever you had to get a letter of application for a job, you just did a handwritten letter, and if you needed it typed, you had to have a typewriter. I'm sure probably most of you were born after the typewriter. There was a machine that was like a keyboard of a computer, and it was manual, and it made a lot of noise. Every time you tapped any letter, whoever is in the room had to know, tap, 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 tap. And you get to the end, and then you pull it back. And so every government office had a secretary, and every private company had the boss and a secretary, because the bosses wrote the letters manually, and then you gave the secretary to type. Now, many years later, secretaries are irrelevant because everybody has got a laptop, isn't it? Or have a computer. So if you did a course, and people actually had careers in secretarial studies, and they were very common courses that you did and easily got a job, because every office needed a secretary to type. Now, because of technology, everybody can type their own documents. In fact, you can actually type it on your phone. A small development like what you have in your hand, everybody has a smartphone, isn't it? How many changes has a smartphone cost? Small device that you're holding. Do you need a camera anymore? If you have a good moment with your phone, you just pull it out and take a selfie, isn't it? Do you see that there's going to be a future with people carrying cameras? Just a few years, and the quality and the strength of the cameras on your phone are going to be as powerful as a normal camera, which is expensive, isn't it? If you go to the village and you don't have electricity, don't you use your phone as a flashlight? And you're okay? So do you need to go to the shops and buy flashlights? No, if you have a phone. What else? I think we can go like this. Anything that a phone can be able to do today that you don't need another gadget or has made another gadget irrelevant. He said, one, the torch is just going to be there, or a flashlight for a while because it's a season, but you can use your phone for a flashlight. We've said two, a camera. Can I add the third? And then we continue like this, because by the time we get here, everybody should give me at least one reason. All right. So the next one, video games, isn't it? When we grew up, you needed to go and pay for video games in like a cyber cafe, and they had big machines. So you put in coins, and then you could have the equivalent of like a PlayStation. Okay, or they call them juke boxes. Now you don't need that. You just need your phone, and you go online, and you're on YouTube. And you choose any game that you want to play, isn't it? So if you had a business that you're playing games, or you're renting out games on juke boxes, you closed, isn't it? People are opening cyber cafes a few years when we were in college, because you needed to write and do term papers and assignments. You took it to a cyber cafe for them to type. Do you notice the number of cyber cafes is going down? And eventually they're going to close. Anybody who ever received success cards when you were doing your high school? Please raise your hand. You are the legends in the house. You received success cards. Do you think the guys who are going to do exams this year will be sent success cards, majority of them? What do you send them? They choose money, just do M-Pesa and just wish me success verbally and I'm okay, or send me an e-card, isn't it? All right, let's continue now. Any other thing that the mobile phone has been able to revolutionize?
Nowadays, instead of banking money in the bank, I can keep my money in the phone. Yes.
Instead of going to the bank to have a bank account, you can have M-Shwari, isn't it? And you can have M-Pesa. So you walk with your phone and it's also a bank account. Right? Thank you.
It has easing the communication, so there is no need for messages as in the past.
Thank you. It has eased communication. In the past, when you had an urgent message, you live in the village and we needed to get a message from Nairobi. You went to the post office. You see this one at Embakasi here? You went there and you had to write the message, handwritten, and they counted the number of words and they charged per letter. And they sent what they called a telex message. Tap, 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 and it would be printed in the other post office nearest to where you are sending it. And they pulled out the printout and inserted in the postal boxes. So in the hope that somebody would be told, kuna telegram, ama telex imetumwa, enda uchukue. These days you just send SMS or WhatsApp. Instant and it's free. Thank you.
Maybe simply, maybe stress. Yeah, there are some sites you can visit. Maybe those are those for yoga or sports. Yeah.
Saying if you need some information and you are so stressed, you just Google the information and you have it online. In 1994, there's somebody who thought people had to go to the bookshop to buy books. And he thought, why should you always go to the bookshop and buy books? Why can't I just take pictures of the books, put them on a website, and then when you need them, you click and request for the book. When you pay is when I call the publisher and say, we need 3 copies of Introduction to Biology books. Please ship them to Alan Cliff. He's in Embakasi, and we collect the money. So he formed the largest company called Amazon that was selling books, and he didn't own books. All right? So new industries, new careers developing as a result of the changes in technology, while others are becoming obsolete, new opportunities are coming up. And that's why it's important for you to understand the times so that you know which careers to invest in. Okay? Now, somebody wakes up in the morning and he feels stressed. Traditionally, during that era where we were born, when you're stressed, you just walked in your compound in your village. Sorry? Yeah, and hoping that you'll meet somebody who you will talk to. And if you are lucky to get the right person, then you could be assisted. If not, you just live with your stress until one day when the Lord will be gracious to you. Yeah, there's nothing like you would Google and just get sorted out. Now, there's an abundance of information on the internet, and it can be either good or bad. She says that it has made communication very easy. When we were dating, because we didn't have a mobile phone, we had a landline. So even passing a message to Alan and say, we need to meet on Saturday and have coffee, we had to agree in advance. If it's on a Monday and we're going to meet on Saturday, please know we will meet at Embakasi opposite the police station roundabout at 12. And if you try to change that appointment, it is difficult. We had to meet at 12 because if you change it, the other person will arrive and there would be no ease of being able to communicate or meet. So the gadget, the mobile phone, has done well to shorten that. But it has also created other challenges. Let's continue.
It has helped us to, we don't need to go to schools to learn some skills, so we can learn from our phones.
It has helped you. The fact that there's abundance of information online, it can help you to develop some skills. It can help you to research on anything that you want. I remember Clara was going for studies in Cape Town. Clara, had you ever been there before? No, you just need to get your phone and get the name of the university where you're going to on Google Map. And when you arrive at the airport, you can take a taxi, although you don't know where the taxi will follow, but you generally, with your Google Map, no, this fellow cannot take me to the wrong direction. Yeah, you have your Google Map quietly, and you're seeing if the fellow tries to go in the opposite direction, you can tell. Well, we grew up in the days of maps, printed map. If you had to go to Eldoret and you have never been there, you took a map, you are in a matatu, and then you keep asking, so, hapa ni wapi? Hapa tuko ni wapi? Because you need to interpret the map with regard to the direction where you're going. With Google Maps in your phone, you don't need to do that, isn't it? You can actually tell where you're going, so the times are totally different. Can we continue?
Mine, I can say, in the entertainment industry, like long time ago, we used to buy CDs from movie shops, CDs, DVDs from movie shops. But right now, if you have like a movie streaming app on your phone, you can easily access any movie you'd like to watch.
Thank you. You can stream a movie and watch it live on your phone. We needed to buy a ticket to go and watch a movie in town. And there were cinema halls. There was Kenya Cinema, there was Nairobi Cinema, there was 20th Century Cinema, there was Cameo Cinema, and there were cinema halls everywhere in town. There were big auditoriums like these churches. So you needed to go out. And so anybody who was busy sitting there with their cinema halls and they are not seeing the times changing, they continue doing business in the same way. And eventually people continue watching movies on their phone, and they're wondering, why should I pay you 200 shillings and also go through the public transport system to watch a movie when I can watch it at home for free with Wi-Fi? Isn't it? There are also new careers. Now let's address the new job opportunities that, as a result of these technologies changing, there are jobs that were not there and are there now. In the last 5 years, there are job opportunities that were never there before. I will pick anybody who has a phone called Nokia in the house. Nokia? All right, those who have Techno? It's okay, I'll not say anything mean, so don't be scared. You have Techno? All right. Anybody with Samsungs? Well, I'm in the Samsung group, okay. All right. Anybody with iPhone? iPhone? Oh, you have two of them. Samsung and iPhone, okay. Which are the other phone models that you are carrying? Oppo. OPPO. All right. And? Huawei. How many? Okay. All right. Infinix. Okay. Now, in the late 90s, if you didn't have a phone called Nokia, then you didn't have no phone. It means whatever you have is any other gadget. The real phone was Nokia. And the brand that was very popular was Nokia 3310. You can Google and see how it looked like. It was a traditional phone that if it accidentally dropped on your foot, it was you to get hurt, and it would not break. Over the years, it became so popular that they had different variations of Nokia phones, Nokia 3310, Nokia 3320, Nokia 4000, and they moved from 4000 series to 5000, and then to 6000, and then to 7000, and then to 9000 series, upgrading. And then they exhausted the numericals. They said they went to Nokia N series. And then when the smartphones era came through, Nokia believed that they were Windows based and they were not going to upgrade. Apple and Samsung and LG went for Android technology. Nokia refused to understand the times had changed. Today, you can clearly see in the houses nobody even with a Nokia phone, isn't it? Yet, a few years ago, they were the market leaders, top, uncontested. market leaders in the telephone industry, and because they didn't change with the times, they became obsolete. And that is exactly what happens even to careers. So very quickly, I can see sometimes when you speak, especially the time I was given, it's close to midnight, when the angel of the Lord comes in the house and ministers to some people, and they have to listen carefully. And when they listen carefully, sometimes there's a way the eyes close slowly because they need to concentrate and focus on what the angel of the Lord is saying. So I'll go through what are some of the quick considerations you need to make when you're making your career decisions. Because like I said, career decision is a long-term decision that is very complicated or complex in the sense that you are the one who makes the decision, but at the same time, it also has an angle to which other people make decisions about your career choice. So yes, you want to be a DJ, and your parents think, hey, you just want to make noise and listen to music, isn't it? And you think that is a career. Can you look for something serious? And I'm giving you some 1 week, think about your life, and tell me what you want to do. Because as your parent, I'm not going to pay for you to go and do those DJ things. Those things are done by guys who are crazy. It's done by people, most of the few that I have seen are always drunk most of the time. They don't seem to have a family. I'm not going to pay for that. So yes, it is your life and it's your career, but the people who are making the decision, it's one, you're one of them. Two, your parents. Three, your friends, because you're also asking them, what do you think about this course? What about this particular career? What do you think? So you're getting information from different points of view. And so at the end of it, you're wondering, so which one should I do? And whatever career you choose, you want your parent or your guardian to support you through it. So they also will not invest in something they think it is good for you, but when you finish, what will you use that career for? Are you going to become independent, or are you going to still be dependent on them? So that is why it is complex. So consideration number one, look at your talent. What are you good at? Know your talent. What are you good at? If you choose a career that is aligned to what you're good at, in your life, whatever you're going to do the rest of the years ahead become part of what you do with joy and with peace of mind. You can imagine waking up to go to do a job that you only liked because it was paying well at one point in time, but you're persevering to be in that office. For example, you get this craze when we graduated from high school that everybody wanted to do computers. Some people would go and do packages, MS Word, MS Word, there was MS Excel, and then there was PowerPoint, and then Access. Yeah, those four. And then they come back and say, I have certificates in computer. Can you imagine? And they're looking for a job with the packages. In fact, there was a company called IAT around Yaya Center. And they would say, you come and do computer driving license, ICDL, the International Computer Driving License. And you felt like you're driving the computers for sure. Yet you've just done some 4 weeks. And then you're looking for a job. So nilifanya computers, ukisikia kuna job mahali uniambie. Now, over the years today, do you see any employer asking whether you know how to use computers? In fact, they assume you know. That it's like they don't ask you, do you speak English? Because if you have completed Form 4 and you went to college in Kenya, you must be speaking fluent English. In fact, the problem would be if you are not speaking English. So that computer skill is no longer like a career. If you have to do computing, then you must do something deeper in computers. You're doing data analytics, communication systems, machine learning, and all those things, web design, so that in one way, you're saying, after I do this course, what is it I am able to do? So if you went in because you want to make money in computers, because everybody is saying computers, in the government, they'll need computers. In the private sector, they'll need computers. That is okay. But then you have gone into a field that is not aligned to your talent, what will happen? After a while, you start feeling job dissatisfied. You go to work and it is like a punishment. Yes, you're getting a good salary, so that is what is kind of inspiring you a little bit, but you're like in a wilderness situation. So make sure that the career you pick is what you're good at. Now, if you are good at dealing with people, for instance, then you can pick a career that is interactive. For example, you are an extrovert and you feel you're good at dealing with people. Picking a career like marketing or sales or customer service puts you at a level where you don't struggle dealing with people. For example, I have that weakness, or is it a strength? When you throw me in the middle of strangers, it's not difficult for me to strike a conversation. Yeah, even in a public vehicle, we sit there and like in 10 minutes, I'm talking to somebody already. And one time my son asked me, Daddy, unamjua? Huyo mtu. Said, hapana. Mbona unaongea nika unamjua? We go down to a shopping mall and the security guards stop because there is a barrier. They stop you before you drive in. Say, habari yako? Tunaweza angalia gari yako. And as we talk, I strike a conversation with the security guard and says, Dad, you know that one also? Until they go to a point like, Dad, wewe unaongeanga tu na kila mtu. We come to church and I say, give me 5 minutes, ningoje hapo nje tunaenda. Say, Dad, please, leo usikae sana, usiongee na watu sana. So it's natural then for me to be able to do a job that is interactive. Little wonder that's why I'm a lecturer, because then it's possible that I go to class. But we'll get to that point. How I accidentally became a teacher. I didn't choose to be a teacher, because apparently I am a very introverted person when I grew up. I never ever spoke, even in one day, in a school debating club. And if you ever threaten to put my name on that list, I would literally become sick because of the fear. Imagining standing in front of people to speak, I would just be shaking in my heart. So I would wake up in the morning, go to the room, and make sure I sit somewhere that I cannot be seen by they used to call them the speaker, isn't it? They would elevate them a little bit, and I was a little bit tiny, so I would look for a place somewhere at the back where I can hide nicely. So he would not know whether I'm on the opposition side or on the proposers. And so if he planned to pick on me accidentally, sorry, he would never see me. And I did that successfully for 7 years in primary school. I added another 6 years in secondary school. And one day when I was in high school, I joined the Wildlife Club, because Wildlife Club offered us an opportunity to have school trips. And when you're in boarding school, you long to have an opportunity to leave school, isn't it? So that was the school with the highest number of trips. We go to national parks, we can go to other schools, so I joined that one. And because my friends knew I was very timid, when they suggested to elect the officials, say, can we have some names? And then a friend like Alan would be sitting there and say, raises a hand, I propose Fred. I almost moved to step on the person, but he was a bit far. So I thought, well, it's just a joke anyway, let it pass. And then they proposed a few other people for other positions. In a very dramatic turn of events, when they asked us to step out and people voted, they overwhelmingly voted as if to intimidate or bully me to be the secretary of the Wildlife Club. So when we came back, we said, how many have voted for so-and-so? The number was like 95% versus 5% for the other person. So I said, you are the secretary from today, sit there. So the old officials sit on this side, the new ones sit on that side, and the patron at the middle. And as he's standing up to thank the outgoing officials, he says, I think that we want to give the opportunity to the new officials. They may have a word or two to say. Hey, I forgot I was a student. I almost told the teacher, you can't do that. We don't have nothing to say. But then said, unfortunately, I was the closest. So he said, we'll start with the secretary. He has to share a few words. It is over 20 years or 25 plus, and until today, I have tried to ever remember what I said, and I have never, for real, completely. I just remember that I spoke like for 2 to 3 minutes, and when I sat back, the temperatures of the head was different from the rest of the body. I was feeling hot, and I was sweating profusely. It's like I was unwell. I wasn't understanding myself. It's like a COVID situation. I started to wonder, surely, is this what leadership is all about? I said, now in every other future event for this club, we'll make sure that talking is strictly through the chairperson, not the secretary. The secretary's role is to write. And so I never spoke thereafter. So I go to college, and I make sure I'm not speaking at all. In college, I realized I joined the Christian Union, and then one day they want to pick the officials. And on the day they are saying they are picking officials, I deliberately refused to go to the fellowship that evening. And 2 of the officials come to my room, say, brother, praise the Lord. We were just passing by, we were going for the fellowship. What, are you doing any assignments? I said, no, I was just in my room. I was just doing some reading. Yeah, we can go fellowship a little bit. And for sure they had planned. When I get there, I'm given the role of the secretary again. So I'm thinking, okay, I struggle with that a little bit. But then they say, we have looked through, and as the leadership team that are outgoing, we think you can make a good secretary to the Christian Union. I say, okay, secretary is just writing letters and inviting speakers, guest speakers to speak. It is a good thing, I accept. And when I have accepted, it turns out that you are the one responsible for making invitations for the guest speakers on every Sunday or any other days of the week if you have an external speaker. So one day, like I said, technology was not as updated as it is today. You write letters for the whole semester and send them by post mail so that all the possible speakers for the semester would receive them knowing the date. So your role would then be to go to the call box to follow up with them. Good afternoon, Mr. Alan Cliff. My name is so-and-so, calling from this particular institution. I was following up regarding our invitation for you to be our guest speaker on Sunday. So I'm just calling to confirm whether you would come. Sometimes you would find the speaker, sometimes you would leave a message with the secretary. And one day, I got into the habit, because after you have confirmed, then you just sit and you become complacent. One day, we are seated the way you're seated, and I'm looking around the way my brother Alan was looking around. Where is the speaker, the guest speaker? Ako wapi? Hajakuja. Ebu enda uangalia hapo kwa parking kama yuko. Hayuko. They say, worship leader, endelea tu, imba tu. Bado we are still waiting for the speaker. 30 minutes into the time the speaker is supposed to speak, he hasn't arrived. It becomes evidently clear that somebody in this room must speak and preach in the service. Okay? I go to other members who are believers, say, can you share a word briefly? Say, hey! I wish you had told me earlier, not me, no, you can't. And then I'm thinking, I tried like 3 different people. And everybody's like, no, that's a joke. You can't invite me now to speak. At least you knew about this earlier. So guess what happens? I remain to be the speaker. And I have to preach in a service, and I've never spoken in public other than the high school experience where I spoke accidentally. Now again, another accident has happened, and I have to speak, and I have to get a word and speak for 30 minutes. Where am I going to get the grace to get what to speak? So eventually those were, I think, the two life-turning events that revolutionized my ability to speak in public. Because after that, I had been through the fire and I was now on the other side. So I learned to be able to speak. Otherwise, ordinarily, I was a very introverted person. So we were saying first consideration is talent. Number two is know your priorities in life. Know your priorities in life. Some people sometimes get, after high school, you want, or you're in college, one, you just do any course. And then thereafter, you decide, so now that I have done a degree or a diploma in this field, so what next? And then you take again another course to add to the other one. And you finish that one and you still think, I'm still young and I'm still energetic. Can I try the third one? And you keep doing several courses that sometimes are not related. There is no vision to where you're going towards. So yes, you did IT, you've done a little bit of economics, and then you have done probably marketing. And then you ask, so what do you want to be? When you go to a job interview, they ask you, what do you want to be? Say, anything. I can be anything. What do you mean by anything? Yeah, because I have done a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of this. So what is it that you want to be? What is it you're developing? You must have the vision to see where you're going, because you can never achieve what you have never thought about in your life. Never. I don't know if that makes sense. You can only be able to, as the scripture says, as far as your eyes can see, will I give you that land, in the book of Joshua, isn't it? So if your eyes can see it, then the Lord will give you that land. If you cannot be able to see the land, then you will not even know whether you have the land or whether it's a plot or whether it's just a road you're passing through. So you must be able to see it clearly. I am here and I want to go there, and so I start walking knowing the direction I'm going is I am going to Embakasi village. And so every step I make, whether it is at night or during the day, and I'm going in that direction, it's a step that is going towards my priorities. All right? I take it further a little bit. And there are things then you will not be able to do if your priorities are right. You're a believer, for example, and I want to pick the example of one lady called Mary, the mother of Jesus. She becomes expectant. She visits, was it her cousin Elizabeth? And she is also expectant. And what you must notice that with expectant ladies, suddenly even the clothes they used to put on when they were not pregnant changes, isn't it? Sometimes they change the walking style. Other times they change what they eat. Other times they also change the moods. Suddenly say, sitaki kusikia harufu ya kitungu. Nikisikia nasikia kutapika. Because of what they are carrying. Now, if you're carrying a big vision, then you must have priorities of things you cannot do, because you will lose that pregnancy. As young people, then you're carrying a big dream of your life in the future. If you know that you're going to that particular destination and you must arrive there and realize your dream, give birth to your dream, then do not abort your dream by doing the wrong things. You've never seen a pregnant woman saying they're going for Nairobi Marathon, isn't it? Not because they don't want to run. It's because what they are carrying in them cannot allow them for that season to be able to do that. So you cannot afford to be careless as a believer and mix your dreams with some social interactions and activities in your life that bring you short-term gain but make you lose your dream. I can take it further. We take the three wise men when they are talking, they have received the revelation that Jesus was born, and from the east they have seen a star, and they are walking. These stars are normally at night, and everybody should be able to see them. How come it's only 3 people who are seeing the stars? They understood the times. And they understood the meaning of the stars. Because in the sky is never only one star in the sky. There are many of them. How do three people stand out, look up in the sky with millions of stars and say, kuna ile ingine ni tofauti. Ile. Na kule imemulika huko ndio kuna maneno. Because they had read in the book of Isaiah. They start to walk there. Now, realize that when they got to the territory of Herod, King Herod, the star disappeared. How does a star disappear in a village? It's in the skies. In other words, the kind of company that you keep in your life is important. Because some young people lose out their dreams because of carelessly just interacting and making friends with anybody who is not aligned to your journey. It is important that you keep people who are aligned to your journey. The three wise men, while they were walking together and encouraging each other, they were actually seeing the star. And they were saying, Upandei, and they went in the right direction until they sought the counsel of an evil man, in which the book of Psalms chapter 1 has warned you against, isn't it? Sit not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor walk, nor stand. There are three things, isn't it? Do not sit, do not walk, and do not stand. And those are the easiest things we do in life. Sitting, kama kuna kamshene kidogo, usikie, kakuharibu maono, and then you lose your original vision that you had in life. So it's important to keep that. Your priorities. Know your priorities in life and keep them. It is not easy to keep your salvation in an era and a generation that despises God. It's not new in your time. It was the same even in our time. Going to college, it was not a funky thing to say, I am born again and my name is so-and-so. No. Said, hey, you must be the religious type. You're the spiritual type, isn't it? So they make it appear like it is bad. Now, the fellows who, if you have ever gone to Europe and to developed nations, some people have gotten to a level of wicked courage. They say, my name is John and I am gay. As part of the introduction. In other words, they have gotten to a level where they want to remove the guilt from their side to your side. So they put you on the defense if you are not. And they think it is okay. Slowly, of course, we are having that legal provision or changes in the law that slowly Kenya is being pushed in that direction to recognize the LGBTQ, so that is now confusing. They would say you can either be male, female, or them. Or say you don't want to disclose your gender. When you're born male or female, that's how God created male and female, created he them. And so there is no shortcut. It's not something we are choosing. We are born like that. So number 3, what are you passionate about? What is your passion? Pick a career that is aligned to what you're passionate about. Don't pick a career that other people are happy about and you're not. If you're passionate about numbers, pick a career that is aligned to numbers. Your passion is about writing, pick a career that is aligned to writing. So that way you will not struggle in your transition. You'll do something that is totally within your passion, something you love to do. I love to travel, and I chose a career in tourism and travel. So I travel normally, and it is just something I do with ease. And I would leave this country in my first job, and I'm single and born again. And I say, let me try and see how India looks like. Traveled, research information about India, how much it would cost, security, exchange rate, what activities you can do in that town, and then ask 1 or 2 friends, si mwezi tukikuwa off tuende India. Because my first job was with the airline, and airlines give you discounted tickets or free tickets to any destination they travel to. So you didn't have to buy. So 2 free tickets per year were free. So saying, hii mwaka tutaenda wapi? You chose. And it was easier to transition like that. And then another month. So choose a career that you're passionate, that aligns to your passion. You love things that deal with humanity. Choosing medicine is okay. You love to save lives. Otherwise, you go to medical school, do medicine and say, madaktari wanatengenezanga pesa. Consultation fee, ngiri 5. Kuingiza tu kichwa hivi kusema habari, eketi hapo, shida ni nini? Kichwa imeniuma upande hii, mara ngapi kwa siku? Mara 2. Na upande hii, hapana. Okay. Nini ingine? Hakuna. Enda ununue hizi hapo 5K before you come in. Next, you're thinking, as you're sitting at the reception, you're thinking, boss, nikikuwa daktari, 5,000 times 5 minutes. For 5 minutes, times the number of patients who are queuing out here. So wacha tuchukue kama 30 per day, si ndio? Tuone 15 asubuhi na 15 afternoon, 30 times 5K ni ngapi? 150 kwa siku moja. Hey, na kuna 20 days in a month that you can work. They actually work for 6 days mostly. Probably Sunday they will close. So let's make it how many days? 24. So 150 times 24. One of the things the mobile phone has done has killed the need for a calculator. So go ahead. 150,000 times 24. How much? Sorry. Anybody? Ngapi? Namna hiyo tu 3 million. Na watu wanaendelea kukua wagonjwa na pesa inakuja. So you can actually buy a brand new car every month, isn't it? And you're thinking, isn't that a good career? Until you go to the medical school and your practicals require that everybody has got their drawer. And in that drawer, when you pull out, it's not drawing equipment. It is specimens. Specimen kila mtu ako na yake na ni binadamu. Yule alienda, alizima. Thinking, so everybody will work with their dead body, isn't it? You're doing human anatomy. Wewe hujai kuona mtu amefariki, hata akikuwa hapo unaepa. Now this one, a whole class, 6 hours. Uko hapo na maiti. You're thinking, hey, is that the right career you want to? Anybody who has ever watched this movie, inaitwanga ER, is a medical. Sorry? That one. I watched it once and I was traumatized. Fellows doing surgery, the movement of the surgical blade as it cuts the skin, I would actually be the one feeling the pain and saying, hata kama nipewa scholarship siwezi. It's not my thing, because yes, I would love to get the money, the 3 million, I don't mind, but I don't think I am passionate about being able to withstand the pain and imagine how the other person is feeling. I can't. Imagining you'll cut somebody through and remove some things and sew them like a piece of cloth. I wouldn't. I would just break down. So I said, no, I can't. Now, the next consideration, do you know your values? Do you know your values? Ensure that you pick a career that is aligned to your value system. You are a believer. I did marketing at a degree level. The first job opportunities that came through East African breweries kuuzia watu pombe. So of course, the benefit, they give you the van or the, it was a van with a container at the back. So you'd pick your brand, Pilsner or Guinness or Tusker or White Cup. I'm thinking, yeah, the job is good, the company is good, the salary is good, my values. How do I convince people to take Guinness? And I don't take it, and I wouldn't even take it. Even if the salary is good. So I let it go. Some of my classmates, of course, got the job, and I've seen after many years, I even met one who was a former classmate, Apa Nyayo, is a neighbor. And they did very well. I met them when I'm still boarding a matatu. I'm seeing the fellow is driving a Ford Escort. And is that the dream of every young person, to grow financially and economically? Yes, it is. So choose a career that is aligned to your values. If you think your values are not, I had one job offer with Mary Stopes Clinic, reproductive health marketing, in brackets abortion, isn't it? Yeah, I will say, well, the job is good, they even give you a car. I'm thinking, hiyo kazi ya kuuza reproductive health, packaged as reproductive health, it's actually abortion services. Do you think I want to do it? No, God provide another opportunity. It's not the only one. I let it pass. You have a good job with BAT, selling cigarettes. I don't smoke. And I am not likely to envy anybody smoking. Let them smoke their lungs to the grave. Do I want to do that? No. So that is, don't get yourself into a corridor that puts you to careers that will contradict your values and say, well, I know I'm a believer. I don't do those things. I'm just doing it for a living. How do you reconcile with your conscience when you're convincing guys to use a product that you believe in your conscience you wouldn't use it, even if it was free? So make sure your career choices are aligned to your value systems or your values. And then the next consideration is know your personality. Know your personality. Personality is important. Your personality traits. There are very many evaluations online that you can do, free personality tests to test whether you are introverted or extroverted or sanguines or, are there penguins? Or the melancholies and all those things, so that you know where to place yourself. Why is that important? There are personalities that make it easier in your career, and there are personalities that are in conflict. If you're an introvert, for instance, you will choose courses that don't put you in the front line of dealing with people on a face-to-face. You pick a career like IT because you're just dealing with machines, isn't it? And coding and machine learning and programming and website development. So you don't really feel anything about having to deal with people. Now, if you're an introvert and they make you a customer service manager, where you are handling customer complaints in an organization, or a public relations manager, you are in trouble. You are a very frustrated person because by the nature of your personality, you do not enjoy dealing with people and opening up easily or warming up to strangers. You take a little bit, it's not like you are antisocial, but you take time to warm up to interactions. So if you take a job that has to put you in a line where you are the one to be the frontliner, then you're going to have a lot of difficulties. And vice versa, you are an extrovert and you take an IT job. You're frustrated because you're thinking, I know if I go to the office, I work a little bit. Although I have a computer, I'll sit on my computer, work on something like 1 hour or 2 hours. I take a walk and I go talk to other fellows, and then I'm thinking, if you want to punish me, put me in a place where I don't have people to interact with. So any job, an office job that locks me up and I do not have to interact, I will be hesitant to take even if the money is good. Or I'll take it briefly to make the money and move on, look for another one where I can have my enjoyment in terms of a job that is aligned to my personality. Okay? The next consideration is you want to take a career that allows you to develop or to grow. The career you pick, does it have opportunities for growth? Or do you take a career that leads you to a dead end? Hapo ulianzia ndio hapo ndio mwisho. You can't move to the next level. Like I said, I did have interest in marketing. And how did I move from travel and tourism to marketing? Because travel and tourism began to align with my personality after those dramatic shifts of being an introvert to an extrovert. And I realized I am good dealing with people. And so when I wanted to take a degree course, I chose a course that gives me an opportunity to interact. But remember, I was transitioning from being an introvert to an extrovert. So I didn't know these things that I'm sharing with you today. So I did marketing. And every time I applied for a marketing job, when I went in, I looked too timid to be given a marketing job. So I never got any opportunity until today to do a marketing job. Can you imagine? I invested all my life in marketing. I never ever got an opportunity to do a marketing job. Because every time I went for an interview, they ask you a few questions. They think you are too timid to deal with marketing situations. And then eventually, because that was still my passion, I still went ahead and developed to the level that now I have not had a chance to do marketing, but now I train the marketers. You see that? A career that gives you an opportunity for growth so that you don't feel stuck along the way. The next consideration, before you pick a career, please research on it. What does your career involve? Because some people pick a career because it sounds good. Say, I want to do something in actuarial science because that sounds tech. Have you known what an actuarial scientist does after graduation? What are the job options? It should be suicidal for you to take up a career when you are asked, so what do you intend to become? I don't know. Anything. Don't. You must be clear about what are the kind of job opportunities that your career field offers you. If you take, for example, a course like economics, you can see economics, people can easily move from the public sector to the private sector. They can work in planning, they can work in marketing, they can easily move in any place where there is allocation of resources. And the principle of economics will work. So they are very fluid. You have IT, you can easily have all organizations, both public and private, doing IT courses, IT jobs, isn't it? So you get opportunities. You can work in one organization, ukichoka, because you are not flowing well with the bosses or colleagues. You apply and move on to another organization and still do a similar thing. You're not stuck to working in one organization. I have seen a friend from the village. I met him sometimes last year when I was trying my foot in politics. I realized I can talk to people. And this guy had a straight A in Form 4, mean grade A, plain. Without knowledge of the career choice or excitement from high school, he picked a course called Bachelor of Science in Petroleum Engineering. It sounded nice. They're among the new courses at KU, Kenyatta University. He graduated very nicely with, I don't know if he actually graduated with first class honors. Very sharp guy. And then he goes back to the village. He didn't know where else to apply for a job other than the oil marketing companies. So you generally write Shell, Total, then Kenya Pipeline. And when they didn't respond, then he didn't have any other option. So when we met, he was like, I thought he was just a village guy. And I asked, so you're asking, tukisikia job yoyote huko, unaweza nijulisha? I said, sawa. So what is your level of education? Have you done any course? When he sent me his documents, I was inspired as well as traumatized in equal measure because the grades were A. But now he's entered a dead end because by the time he started studying the course, his focus was getting a job with tallow oil. And it looked like it was the only dream that he had. So after he graduates, tallow oil had closed operations in Turkana and were no longer doing oil drilling. So next destination, tafuta job Middle East or out of Kenya because we don't do drilling of oil. And yet that is what you've studied. So the course is good, but what you have done in our context and season, you have gone ahead of the times in Kenya. Kenya doesn't have that, and you are ahead of the rest of the country. It could be an industry of the future for Kenya but it's an industry that is already operating in other countries in the Middle East. Dubai, Qatar, Bahrain, they're all drilling oil. And so this particular course would be of use and value. As I wind up, I think, so that I don't speak the whole night, that is the danger of being a teacher. We speak for 3 hours non-stop. Can you imagine? Because the normal class at university, 3 hours. So the danger when you're doing that and it's in church, people can find it a bit. We can stand up a little bit, isn't it? Yeah, so that we stretch. Kausingizi kanaweza tokea hapo kwa junction na kakuje kaingie. All right, you can stretch a little bit and then you take a seat. I make the last point. And like I said, 1 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 32. You can take our seats. And of the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times to know what Israel ought to do, the heads of them were 200, and all their brethren at their commandment. Very key. Knowing what to do, what Israel ought to do at that particular time, the sons of Issachar. And because God intends that as we prosper, our souls prosper, so will our bodies also prosper. So God intends that we prosper. So whatever choice of career you pick, that God intends that we prosper. And there is no straightforward career that assures that if you do what Alan did, you'll prosper exactly the same way Alan will prosper. Because everybody has his own grace. And that's why when Abraham is parting ways with his nephew, Lot, he asked Lot, please choose, for the sake of peace between your servants and my servants, choose whichever direction you want to go. Because he knows he's blessed by God. And regardless of the location where he goes, he will still prosper. So he says, if you choose to go to the north, I'll go to the south. If you choose to go to the east, I'll go to the west. So you will not succeed because Alan succeeded by taking that course. Because everybody has his own season and has his own blessing. You can actually try to follow through. It is also just an indication of what are the possibilities in the field that Alan has done if you want to do the same thing. But you will be able to do a totally different thing, and God opens up your mind to opportunities and to the wisdom to succeed. Because in Deuteronomy, he says, I will bless the work of your hands. I'll bless the work of your hands. So if your hands are not doing anything, then there's no basis of that blessing, isn't it? And Proverbs says, have you seen a diligent man? A man whose work is good. He will stand before kings. So choose to ensure that whatever you do with diligence. If you choose to be a singer, please sing until nobody else sings like you. If you choose to be a teacher, teach the way nobody else has ever taught. And so that when they're looking for singers or teachers or machine learners or economists, the name that comes to mind is that, yes, there are several economists, but that particular one stands out from the crowd. Right, so I think I'll want to end there, and then we can have a session to have questions and responses, or question and answer, so that I don't talk indefinitely. Otherwise, I could talk until 5 o'clock. Thank you, and God bless you.